Some of you may remember that song from many years ago, which was called In the Year 2525 by Zager and Evans. Unfortunately, for copyright reasons, I can't play more than a few seconds of it, but it's a great song and you can find the original on YouTube. I was a kid when that song came out, and I remember thinking how ahead of its time it sounded. Now that I listen to it, though, I sort of think that Zager and Evans were about 500 years off. You see, it's not going to be the year 2525 that we need to worry about, but 2025. In just a few weeks, we will be into 2025, and it certainly appears that it will be a watershed year in human history. For starters, we have the man who perfectly lines up with the biblical Antichrist returning to power, and he is apparently hell-bent on retribution. Among other earth-shaking events could be a new pope in 2025, America stunningly dropping out of NATO, and even shocking the world by joining BRICS, and, for all we know, perhaps even a major escalation of wars around the world. All of these things lead many of us to think that we simply can't have very much time left before the return of Jesus. Therefore, we just have to be in the tribulation right now. This would mean, of course, that there's only a year or two left, or maybe 3 or 4. Now, none of us can know when the return of Jesus is, since the Bible clearly states that no man knows the day or hour. However, it doesn't say that we can't have a general idea, since we are given many signs to watch out for, including the descriptions for the Antichrist. One major description has to do with the covenant with many between Israel and her neighbors, which begins Daniel's 70th week. That would apparently start the final 7 years of prophecy, which would include the Great Tribulation of the last 3.5 years. But I'm going to say something that might sound a bit shocking to some of you. I'm of the opinion that there are probably 8 to 12 years left before the return of Jesus. Now, I know that kind of time frame will lead many of you to think that there's just no way it can be that long. Just look at the world around us and where we're headed, and it's simply hard to fathom things going on for more than a couple more years. But for those who think that we can't possibly have another 8 to 12 years left, let me ask you this. How quickly did the last 4 years go by? Or, if you're a bit older, how quickly did the last 4 decades go by? Because we all know that time passes us by in a flash. It has downhill momentum. What might seem like a long time right now, such as 8 to 12 years, will be over in a flash, just like the preceding decades were. Before we know it, it's going to be the year 2026 or 2027. We could even be listening to Trump talking about running again in 2028. Perhaps, for all we know right now, the covenant with many might not even be confirmed for a couple of years. So my point is that the perception that we're now in the last year or two of Bible prophecy is a bit misleading for a few reasons. First, there are a number of things that still need to happen, such as the third temple being built, the Antichrist entering the third temple and proclaiming himself to be God, the false prophet clearly being revealed, the mark of the beast coming on the scene, the image of the beast being made. Second, the idea that we're in the last year or two has been stated many times over the years, and it was wrong. For example, many of us can remember the billboards of Brother Harold Camping, who said the world was ending on a particular date, only it didn't. Third, my saying that we have another decade, or possibly more, might sound like a lot of time, but it really isn't. It's going to pass us by just as quickly as all the other decades of our youth. Before we know it, it'll be gone. Finally, I'm not saying all of this to make it sound like, hey, relax, we have lots of time left, just go ahead and enjoy your life. Rather, I want to emphasize to all of us, including me, that no matter how much time we perceive to be left, it will be gone in a flash. So we need to now draw close to God while there's still time. Thanks for listening, and I'll talk to you guys soon.